Like Cousins here, Third Phase Moon, broadcasting live. We're trying to get Missy and Jonathan Gray. They're doing major work over there in New Hampshire as of some recent sightings in regards to a massive triangular-shaped craft. I mean, it's massive in size. So if you're calling in from New Hampshire, do me a favor, please press number 1 on your keypad right now so we can get to you, Missy and Jonathan. It'd be very helpful. Press number 1 if you're calling in, because we invited Missy and Jonathan to join us right here at Third Phase Moon. But let's see, I'm not exactly sure if they're with us right now. See if area code 248 has made connection right here at Third Phase Moon. You there? You want to share something new to the world?
This is Roy from Michigan.
Hey, Roy.
Can you hear me? Good.
I got you.
Hey, I love your show, and I love Paul Barrett's music. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Hey, I have some experience that I've had with the Black Triangle, and I wanted to call and share it with you.
Oh, that is incredible, because that was our subject matter for tonight, the TR3B massive Black Triangle being spotted by people all over this country and the world, for that fact. Go ahead, tell us when, where, what did it feel like?
Well, it was terrifying, actually. I first had an experience with the thing in a dream about 4 years before I actually saw it. I was in the dream, I was upstairs in my room, and I looked out the windows, and I saw 3 white lights with a little red light flashing, and it was to the west of my house. And I saw it, and in my mind, I said, I see you. And it took off. It flew south down toward M59 and came back over my house. And I looked out the east side, and when I looked up, there was like an indentation up in the center, and a door opened, and a dark figure with a gun stood out and shot my house, and I woke up. So that was enough for me.
So do you think this was a dream, or was this a real experience? You mean you saw a door open on this triangular craft and a man appeared with a gun and proceeded to shoot at you in your direction?
He shot at the top of my house, and it exploded, and I woke up. This was the dream that I had in 2005. So I just took it as a dream. I dismissed it. I mean, it was terrifying, a nightmare. And then in 2009, in real life, I was driving home from my friend's house about 10:40. I was going southbound on Leroy Street in Fenton, Michigan, and I saw these 3 white lights coming over the trees. And as I'm driving, I thought it was a 747, and I couldn't believe it, what I was seeing. And as I'm driving, I kept looking to my right, and I was looking for that little red light in the center. And because I didn't see that, I wanted to believe this was a plane. But the more I looked at it, it was obvious it was not. So I kept driving, and I pulled into a driveway and turned around. And the old van that I drove had bad exhaust system. It was loud. So I turned into this drive, shut the van off, rolled down the window, and I could see this craft just floating over the trees very slowly. And I had 4 little white lights along the back of the red light blinking. So I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I wanted to believe that it was a plane. So I started up the van, and I went after it, and it was gone. And I thought if it was a plane, it would be going, because it was going northbound, and I thought it would be going to Bristol Airport in Flint. And I drove up to Thompson Road, and I tried to, I figured I'd cross paths with it if it was a plane. and it was just gone. So that was my first encounter.
Well,
out of
have
3.
This dream. Yeah, you have this dream, and then a short time later you experience this, and now you're in a high-speed chase with this thing, and now you got a third encounter. And by the way, we do have Missy and Jonathan. They're on the wait call list, so we're going to be getting to them too, as well as this TR3B phenomenon, this massive triangle shape continues. Go ahead. What's your third encounter?
Well, that was my first physical, real encounter with it, and then the second time was a year later. I was with a friend, and we went.
I'm still thinking, Roy, that first encounter, whether you woke up or not, it seemed pretty surreal. This might have been one encounter, and there was some missing time in between this experience and when you woke up in bed, and now you're having the encounter in real life. Who knows? Maybe that first encounter was legit and real, no dream.
Well, it's possible. I could only rationalize. I mean, I woke up, from that experience pretty shocked. I didn't have any markings or anything what I would call, an abduction experience. But the thing I learned from the dream was the mental connection that I made with it, because actually in my third encounter, I made a physical or mental connection with this thing, and it was just shocking. But I'll just try and quickly tell you this so we can get on to your guest there. The second encounter was in 2010, and I was with a friend. We went up to get salads, and we saw it again in Fenton, and it was going northeast, and then it turned sharp and went northwest. And so my friend got to see it as well, but it was further away. So at least I wasn't alone this time when I got to see it. And then the third encounter I had, 2014, on November 3rd, I had a dream that I was in my living room with a friend, and she had my projector that I use for my artwork, and she was shining something on my windows, and I looked thinking it was this craft, and it looked translucent, and I looked, and she was using this projector, and she started laughing, and I said, "That's not funny. Get out of my house." And then I woke up. I was like, "That's strange." So that was the dream on November 3rd of 2014. And then on November 5th, I was driving home from work. Now this is in real life, and I'm on Hickory Ridge Road going toward M59 northbound, and I see this white light crossing, going as fast as the traffic. And as I come across the light crossing M59, I look, and I said in my mind, now this is in real life, I said, if you're not a plane, do something weird. And this thing turned on a dime and was right over my van. And I'm driving, and I could see it through the big windshield. I got a Chevy Express van, and this thing stayed with me for about 2 miles.
Wow.
And I was terrified that it was going to follow me home. And it didn't dawn on me later that I thought that, but when I thought about being afraid of it following me home, it stopped. It just stopped, and I drove right under it, and it just stayed, and I just kept going. And that was my experience with that thing. So I wanted to call and share that with you.
Absolutely, Roy. This is something that it's needed to be discussed. This thing really does exist, whether it's reverse engineered alien technology and the military is using it. They seem like they're getting closer and closer as we speak, Roy. So maybe you have a question for Missy, because we've got Missy with us along with Jonathan Gray in regards to this phenomenon, this triangular-shaped craft making its appearance all over America and the world. And Missy has had her experience, really close encounter, as well as Roy just explained to us. So, Missy, are you with us? How you doing tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing good. Welcome back to Third Phase of Moon.
Thank you for having me. Well, us. Jonathan also.
I'm glad you guys made it tonight. Glad you guys made it. Well, you just we were just speaking with Roy, who had an incredible encounter, two encounters with this massive black triangular shaped craft that's being spotted. And we just featured your story along with Roy, his documentation of your experience in regards to this phenomenon. Could you, again, share with us, the viewers or the listeners right here, your encounter? And then I'm sure there's going to be a lot of big questions coming up. So, yeah, let's rehash quickly about what you experienced and when and where this happened, and where you want to get Jonathan questions. Go ahead, Nancy.
Well, it was February 19th. It was around 4 o'clock in the morning, say 4:12, around there. My husband, Shaw, is always a early person. He's always just been, an early guy. That's just him. So he was up, made his coffee, and he was smoking a cigarette, looking outside. And all of a sudden he saw these strange lights that we live by an airport. We live by Manchester Airport, which is not far at all, like maybe 2 miles. So he knows all the aircrafts and, the routes and which way they go and all that stuff. So he came in the bedroom and he said, "Babe, get up." He says, "There's weird lights out here." And I fell back to sleep. So he came in again and he says, "Babe, you got to get up. You're going to miss it." So I knew it was something. I jumped up, and I wasn't too happy because it was a Sunday morning, and that was the only day I get to sleep in. So anyway, I went and I looked at the kitchen window, and it was literally 2 big white headlights that looked like on a car or a truck. And I was speechless. Like, I could not believe what I was seeing at all. And so anyway, we went out on the porch to get a better view. So my husband was standing in front of me, and I was holding on to him tightly, and I could feel his heart just pounding. And I said, "Oh, babe, don't worry about it." I said, "It's probably military, because there is a base too far from the airport, and it's a small base, and a reserve base. That's what it is." And he said, "No." He said, "That's not military," because my husband had grown up on a military base in Missouri, I believe. Was it Missouri or Michigan, Shaw? Shaw, Missouri or Michigan? Yeah, the base. It was Michigan. And I'm pretty familiar with, all different planes and military stuff. So anyway, the next thing, and this is really what bothers me the most, and I'm having the hardest time dealing with this still to this day. Well, I do remember I said to him, I said, "Babe, get your phone." And he said, "I can't move." Well, the next thing, I'm standing on the other side of the porch by myself. Now, my head was back, and I remember my arms being out slightly to my side, and there was this huge black triangle, no noise at all. It was like a humming, a buzzing, whooshing, like if you open your mouth and you blow air. That's kind of what it sounded like, but that's what I heard when it was literally right over my head. Well, this is hard. I'm sorry. It's just bringing back a lot. Talking about
it's a heavy thing.
Yeah.
It's not this is like, some people, let me tell you, can't handle, some people die just by looking at this stuff, because your eyes aren't meant to be witnessing this, especially if you're not accustomed to it. They've yet to let us be aware of this in a manner that people can handle it in a way, and it's pretty tricky. Myself, yes. I would be jumping up and down for joy, and let me tell you, there'd be a lot of people just really excited about this.
Honestly, that's what I thought my husband was going to do, because he was the one that was always into UFOs. He was watching documentaries. He was just looking stuff up on the computer, and totally just every show, everything. He was everything with UFO. Now, me, on the other hand, I was into, and you're probably going to giggle, but I was into, like, the Real Housewives of New York and New Jersey and all that stuff. I just wasn't into it. I believe that there was always other life out there. I never thought that we were alone, but I just wasn't into it as my husband was. Done a 180. He wants nothing to do with it at all anymore. He doesn't want to talk about it. He has shut down about it. He saw what he saw, and that was it. It was so close that I literally could have thrown a rock at it. That's how close it was. That close. And it had...
This is like, these things get incredibly low, and it's not the first time we've heard about it. You got to listen to the first caller, too. Roy was being chased by this thing in his truck, and he could see it just right above his truck. It's like just within maybe, I don't know, what do you say, 20 or 30 feet above you? That's incredible. It must be, in a way, intimidating. How large do you think this thing is, if it's that low?
Oh, my gosh. It was, how big was that, would you say?
It was 250 feet around in diameter.
It was 250 feet around diameter.
Did a recreation of it.
Jonathan did a recreation of it.
Yeah, we're going to be sharing Jonathan's incredible interview with you, and the original link as well. Let's bring in Jonathan.
But the thing is...
Yeah, go ahead.
The thing is, when it came overhead, when I was watching it, and I saw the middle to the back end of it, I don't remember the front end of it. It had 2 or 3 tiny, tiny red lights, and it had grates. And I remember feeling like a warmth from the grates, and it wasn't hot, it wasn't cold, it was like a perfect temperature. Kind of like, say, like you're in a womb. It may sound funny and weird, but it was a perfect temperature. The thing had not even finished going over the house when I looked over at Shaw, and he looked at me, and I said, "You saw what I saw?" And he said, "Yeah, you saw what I saw." And we walked into the house like we were robots. I went to the chair and started watching TV. He went to the computer. But then, and I had that feeling of, like after you have surgery, like the anesthesia, foggy, funny, weird feeling.
Yeah.
And then I started realizing and thinking, I said, wait a minute. I went over and I looked at the clock, and at that time, it was 4:47. There was no way we were out on that porch for over a half hour. Not possible. That's not possible. How can something move you and me not know it and have no clue? And still to this day, and I've tried having hypnosis twice, a few times, but nothing has come out. It's what made me realize that something was, it had started getting dusk at that point so I could see the craft, the triangle, perfectly. It's like when the sun starts coming up and you can make out the trees and you can see you know what I mean? The sun wasn't totally up, but it was dusk. And when we first went out on the porch, it was pitch black. And it was also winter, and we were in our pajamas. So there was no way we would have stayed out there for over a half hour. No way. So
Yeah,
I'm sorry to keep going on and on.
No, it's incredible. Some people call this the Oz factor, where I'm not sure if you're aware of that term, but the Oz factor is basically a description of one's basically shock and awe and a state of paralysis when one meets something in an extraterrestrial presence. This creates some kind of, paralysis of the body. So this is not unordinary by any means. So Shaw is totally not interested in this. I'm sure
not anymore.
Both of you are not wanting to have this craft come back, but sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. The caller that called in just earlier in the program, he said he had an encounter twice with this thing, and he dreamt about it prior to it. So you never know. Is Shaw with you?
I did. Yes.
Really?
I had a dream. I want to say it was a good 3 months prior to this happening to us, but I just figured my dream was because my husband was watching, all the UFO documentaries and shows and stuff like that. And my dream was a saucer, and it landed in the backyard, and it was huge.
That's scary.
Yeah, I got Roy back. Roy, are you still with us here? Because this is quite interesting. There's dreams prior to the experience. You got a question for Missy, Roy?
Well, I had a dream just in July on the 15th. I've had several nightmares of this thing, of it coming back, and too many to tell right now. I don't want to take up your time, but it's amazing. And I encountered this thing 3 times, but I had 2 dreams prior to the experiences.
Really?
Yeah.
It's scary. The dream that I had prior, it didn't really seem scary to me. It seems very real. And what my dream was, it was a huge silver saucer. It came and landed in the backyard. And for some reason, there were so many people coming in and out of it. It had a big silver, like a opening, like when it like a ramp, and it was like people I knew and people I didn't know, but I don't know. It's just something you live with every day, and I don't know if I'll ever get answers. But
Missy,
Jonathan is here, and he's the one that's done the investigation for me. So if you'd like to also speak with him, that would be great.
Let's definitely bring Jonathan on. Bring Jonathan on. And what I got to say is you just described, Missy, the exact same thing that Roy just explained, that there was some kind of a doorway that opened up like a shaft within the craft. And it's just, it's really amazing when you collaborate and corroborate evidence of these eyewitness testimonies. So, Jonathan, you there?
Amazing.
Let's get Jonathan on. Yeah,
here he is.
How you doing, guys?
Doing good, Jonathan. Welcome to Third Phase of the Moon. And, so what an incredible show tonight. 2 different people. They don't know who they are, but they're describing basically the exact same experience, how in close proximity they were, and the same type of craft and this doorway that opens up. This is about as good as it gets. I got Brent Cousins here, and he's got a question for you, Jonathan. And here he is. Here's Brent. Hey, Jonathan. I was just wanting to ask you, what compelled you to make this mini documentary on Missy?
Well, the reason that I started doing the mini documentaries is there's not an outlet that's not mainstream for people to be able to get their stories out. Most of the time, they just kind of, clam up and they might tell a story to a friend. And I said, let me figure out a way to make this more accessible to people, make it more accessible so that they can come forward easier, because a lot of people don't want to go right on television and or on the radio sometimes, but other people do, and that's fine. But I figured, hey, let's make it small, let's make it intimate, let's put it on YouTube so you can share it with your friends and family or whoever you'd like to share it with, and get your story, your voice out there. And so I started that just a few months ago, actually, and on my YouTube channel, which is Greystar Paranormal Institute, and I put a bunch of videos up on my website, which is greystarpi.org. And so people can go there and share their stories with me, and I might be able to come out and do a mini documentary on their experience.
Well, that's an excellent thing to do. We've been working on the same thing, so we're going to have to talk about other projects, because people reach out to us and we can't always get to them, but at least we know somebody that could actually produce and get that story in a way that's watchable, and that's very important as a presentation of this evidence. So that's great work over there, Jonathan. So let me tell you.
Thank you.
I think we had about 45,000 views, and it's climbing on Third Phase Moon, so I'm hoping we're getting the word out for your YouTube channel and your work. We're going to keep sharing the links there. But have you ever seen a UFO? Well, let's back it up a little bit. When you interviewed Missy, and I don't know if you're friends or not in the past, but what do you make of Missy's experience? Can you relate with her? Have you witnessed a UFO for yourself?
Well, let's put it this way. I didn't meet Missy until just a few months back when I took her case. She contacted me through my website, and with each case, I take everything with a grain of salt. I do a step-by-step investigation. We have a form that's several pages long, and you have to be able to actually pass all our little tests in order for me to even pursue your case. So I put her through the loops and had her do all the tests and everything, and finally she gave me all the information I needed. She was consistent with her story, did an analysis of her voice and of her body language, and her husband both were very honest and forthcoming with me. And so I decided to take their case and work with them, and now I'm kind of like their own go-to guy when it comes to anything to do with paranormal activity. And to answer your question, have I seen a UFO? I've seen several UFOs. I think the people that work best in this community are the people that have the experiences firsthand. And, if you were going to go to a mechanic, you'd want someone who's actually worked on your car before, worked on a car before. You don't want one that's just seeing the car for the very first time. So I think that, through my life, I've had experiences with extraterrestrials and UFOs since I was a toddler. And so that is what compelled me to work in the ufology field for 20 years.
It's always good to have a background experience, because there's a lot of people in this field that have no experience whatsoever, and they're in the field, which makes no sense to me. So that makes a lot of sense. And This is it's very important, very important. So this is the big question, because it's all speculation, but with thousands of reports of this massive triangular craft, huge, basically defying any laws of physics, anti-gravity involved highly in broad daylight, this thing exists. What do you think in your gut? Is it military? Is it reverse engineered? Where do they park this thing?
Well, if it's military, then it would have to be something that was they would have to time travel in order to get the technology, because this technology has been reported all the way back to ancient civilizations before the U.S. military existed, before any military existed. in fact. And there's reports in cases of UFO and triangle-shaped saucers. I mean, there's cave paintings with these things as well. So they would have to been around way before, our civilization right now. So with that said, I doubt that it's actually military. And could there be reverse engineered crafts? Absolutely. I'm not denying that whatsoever. But there's a reason for the military. The military has a job to do, and that's the protection of this planet and of its citizens. And so when you have these UFOs floating over a residential area, over somebody's house, that's not a military drill. There's no need for that. It's not necessary, unless there is a specific program that they're working with the government.
Or there is a special interest in the subject matter that these triangular craft are observing, because it seems like they're observing the family here, such as in Shaw and Missy's case, and Roy, who just called in, he was being chased by one. So maybe there's a specific reason why, and that's something we got to figure out.
Well, that's the thing too. Why would we need to use the technology of a UFO to abduct somebody? There's lots of other ways to, surveil people and analyze them and do all this stuff. Why would they need to fly a UFO over the house, in order to come in and do whatever they need to do? That's kind of dramatic. I think that's overkill there if it is the government. The government has a lot of wonderful technology, and, they're 50 years ahead of us, so to speak, and I think that they could do a lot better job than flying a giant 200, 300-foot wide craft above a house.
Absolutely. It's almost comforting in the way that how you just explained it, that this isn't reverse engineered, unless they're time travelers. These are extraterrestrial in origin. They've been here for thousands of years through the evidence that we've discovered. This thing has been around for a long time. So what is it? What's going on? Why is it here? I want to continue these case files, because you keep up the good work over there, Jonathan, because what you're doing is very important, and we definitely want to collaborate with you in a future, definitely, because we're working on the same project, and I think it's a really good thing bringing these eyewitnesses forward. That's the whole key. The eyewitnesses are coming forward. That's where the power is, definitely. So appreciate it, Jonathan. We're going to be keeping in touch with you. Any last words, Jonathan?
Well, if anybody has any experiences with UFOs that are in the New Hampshire area, because that's where I'm based out of, they can contact me at graystarpi.org. If they want to check out the YouTube channel, that's also searchable by looking up Graystar through either Google or YouTube. And you guys can come to me, and I will take your case. And I don't look at anybody, oddly. I always take everybody's case and just give them the benefit of the doubt and give them the attention that they need. And I've been contacted literally with dozens and dozens of emails since our broadcast of Missy's video on your channel. And I've been trying to sift through those and give everybody the proper attention they need and let them know that they're not alone. So that's really all I have to say.
Great work, Jonathan. Yeah, it's good. Once you put yourself out there, but that's the thing. Then the connections are made, and it's important, and you got to sift through them. But there's always these gems, like the gem you captured with Missy. Good job, Jonathan. Missy, appreciate you joining us. Missy, we've got a few minutes. We appreciate you joining us. Go ahead.
Thank you. There's actually one more thing I had wanted to mention, if that's okay. My oldest son, I want to say about a year ago, him and I were rearranging the living room, and he was bringing stuff downstairs in the basement. Well, all of a sudden, he came flying up the stairs, white as a ghost, no color in his face at all. And I said, Wyatt, what's the matter? Oh, nothing. He's a quiet kid. He won't say anything. Well, it took him a long time. It took him over a year before he would tell us. And he finally told us while he was down there, he saw a huge white orb about the size of a softball, maybe a little bigger, that came out from underneath the staircase. It went around the washing machine, around the dryer, and it went around him and close to his face, and then it went right out the wall between the washer and the dryer. So there have been things that unfortunately have been going on for a long time. I
want to say unfortunately, this is something almost like a privilege in my opinion, Missy, and in a way, you just got to think of it like this is special. There's something special going on. And
no, I do. You're right. I couldn't say unfortunately. You're right. That is true.
It's out of this world. You're lucky. So that's in a way people don't get this kind of confirmation. We are not.
I feel bad as a parent. It hurts me to see my children scared because my youngest son has also. He's 10 years old now. And he still will absolutely not sleep by himself. And so, it's one of those things. But you know what? I am blessed and I am grateful, but I just feel bad for my kids that, it scares them.
Well, yeah, but kids will get over it. They'll get over it. They'll get stronger because of it and have more of an open mind. And my thing is, too, I got a big feeling Jonathan might be doing a follow-up on a documentary because I get a feeling your case file's not done yet, Missy, but I appreciate
amazing.
You guys calling it. Yeah, it's really good stuff.
I appreciate speaking with you, and thank you.
Thank you, Missy, and thank you, Jonathan Gray and Roy for calling in tonight on Third Phase Moon. This mystery is real and it's happening around the world. Stay tuned for more updates right here at Third Phase Moon. Blake Cousins, we'll see everybody again next week, Friday. Stay tuned to Third Phase Moon YouTube for daily updates. We'll see you again next time.